Hi, folks. When you think about webinars, you probably think about acquisition, right? So these top of the funnel webinars that are kind of tangential to the product of the organizer and are basically used as a lead magnet to attract new potential prospects. Well, I would say, speaking from the position of a head of marketing at Userpilot, that this is the worst way to use webinars. And in fact, I strongly believe that they have a much better place further down the road in the user journey. So today I wanted to briefly talk about that. It's not directly related to Userpilot, but it's very complementary. So you can totally combine, your in-app marketing strategy, your retention marketing strategy in Userpilot with the use of webinars for retention marketing. And this is what we do extensively at Userpilot as well. So if you've been with us for a while, you probably have noticed that we have these series of user webinars for different stages, for like basic users, so the MVP onboarding, as well as more advanced users, right? Talking about, for instance, the resource center or native tooltips. And basically we use them in order to keep our users engaged and to help them achieve more and more success with Userpilot, well, regardless of the stage in their user journey. So first of all, why are webinars not the best choice for acquisition? So I'm a strong fan of written content and SEO when it comes to acquisition. I think this is the most scalable, evergreen way of acquiring new leads. And of course, you can break the content down by the stage of awareness. So top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. When it comes to webinars, it usually takes a lot of time to organize them, to promote them, to find people to write these sequences of follow-up emails, and then you have like 100 people showing up and that's it, right? Of course, you can reuse them as recorded webinars, but then you still need to keep promoting them. So I would say for acquisition, for getting people to sign up for your product, use written content. But then webinars are actually an excellent way to improve your retention, both day one retention, week one retention, month one retention, and retention further down the road. So I would say the first webinar you should share should be probably pre-recorded, especially if you are product-led and have a self-serve sign-up model. So if people sign up for your product themselves and you get a lot of sign-ups, hundreds of thousands per day from different basically areas of the world, of course, you wouldn't be able to invite them all to a live webinar. And if you have a more complex product, where you have more than a few key activation points, right? So these points which take your users to the aha moment and make them realize how to get value out of your product, you should probably use a webinar to explain how your product works. Right? So you could, for instance, add a link of the pre-recorded webinar to your welcome email and then have people watch it on demand and see, the complex funnels that will get them to the aha moment. So this is the first use case whenever you have more activation points than, say, a couple that a checklist, onboarding checklist, or, tooltips will basically hold in an interactive walkthrough. It makes sense to throw in a new user webinar. And that has been found to dramatically improve day one retention. Check out the article below for more data on the stats exactly, because I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head. So that's the first use case. And as you know, in a membership model business, day one retention is critical for your revenue, because if you lose people on day one, right, and if they don't get your software on the first login, like forget about it. Most of the time they will probably, not return. We're talking about transactional SaaS tools, which have a free trial period, for instance. Yeah, and basically it means that you can't recoup your CAC, so customer acquisition cost, if they churn within the first week. And yeah, you kind of lose them forever, because it will be very, very difficult to convince them again to check your tool out if they kind of got burned the first time they logged in. So next thing you can do with user webinars is to use them to push your users down the funnel. So basically, when you see on your product analytics tool, you can do it in Userpilot as well. So create these funnels of key activation events that need to occur at different stages of the user journey. If you see that your users are not reaching specific activation events and are slipping away, you can basically create segments out of them and invite them to specific webinars that will target these particular issues. So for instance, your UX may not be that great in some particular place in your app. And let's be realistic. Of course, we would like the UX to be ideal all the time, but it's not, right? So at some point, you just need to kind of patch it. And sometimes if it's a complex issue, it may be difficult to do it with an interactive walkthrough in-app. So actually having a human show this problem and a workaround to it live and allowing your users to ask questions will be a great way to, resolve this issue until it can be resolved by the developers. Right, so this is another use case. And then, of course, in the long term, making sure your advanced users are turning into power users. So creating exclusive webinars for them that will, help them unlock like the super advanced value of your product, maybe something they haven't even thought about. You can make it pre-exclusive, so make it invite only, limit the number of seats. Say that they need to have reached a certain point in the user journey to qualify, to make them feel like, they are kind of special because they were invited to these pros-only webinars. Play with the copy here, right? The invitation copy is very important to make sure people actually want to attend. And then show them how they can gain extra superpowers that can easily turn your advanced users into power users, and they will be for sure very grateful for having this opportunity of unlocking even more value from your product. Right, so in sum, we have discussed 3 use cases of user webinars for retention marketing, right? The first one is new user webinars on demand, pre-recorded, evergreen, that can be included in the welcome emails that are intended to improve day 1 retention. The second type is webinars for slipping away or struggling users that are basic users. They have reached the key activation points, but they're kind of floundering later on in the user journey, and maybe they have stumbled upon a UX issue that cannot be easily explained with tooltips in-app. And the third type is basically for advanced users in order to turn them into an even more advanced users into power users and drive even more value at later stages of the user journey. I hope you found this video helpful. Check out the post below. It's packed with information and tactics for how to create these webinars. And I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.